All right, first question here on our live Q&A. Should the 49ers sign Josh Gordon? I said good questions. Did I not say ask good questions? I'm pretty sure I said that. No, they're not going to sign Josh Gordon. They just went out and signed a former first-round draft pick who got cut before training camp last year, has broke his leg multiple times, and yet they still signed him over Josh Gordon. Like, think about that. They signed Kevin White over Josh Gordon. Now, would Josh Gordon be better than White? 100%. He'd probably be better than Brandon Aiyuk and better than Kendrick Bourne here on this depth chart, but he would never be able to stay on the football field. Why? Because he's proven time and time and time and drug test and drug test and drug test. Again, he can't stay on the football field. So why would they go sign somebody they can't trust, right? It just doesn't make sense. And plus, he has to get reinstated. It's a mess. I don't want to see any Antonio Brown questions. I don't want to see any Josh Gordon questions. I'll answer them. But still, they're not going to sign these guys. They just signed Kevin White, for Pete's sakes, instead of Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown. So don't think about it, okay? All right, next question. What do we have here? That's my little rant on these disgruntled wide receivers that everybody wants, but they're never going to sign. What do you think is the hardest game of the season? There's a good question. Thank you, Felix. Let's see. The hardest game of the season. Week 2 of the Jets is going to be – no, I'm just kidding. It's not the week 2 at the Jets. It's later on, right? They got a couple of those road games. What is it? Week 7 and 8. At New England becomes more difficult. It's not the hardest game, but this is a tough stretch. Rams on Sunday Night Football, at the Patriots, and then there it is. Week 8 at Seattle. We all know that Seattle is probably the best team they're going to face in the entire schedule. Green Bay on a short week after Seattle can also be tough. At the Saints the next week. Like, this is a tough stretch overall. The good news is Week 13 through Week 16 are pretty darn easy for San Francisco. I know the Bills on Monday Night Football will be very, very interesting to watch. Washington's not going to be good this year. Dallas won't, in my opinion, won't be good this year. Arizona, of course, is interesting, and then Seattle again. I think Week 8 is going to be the toughest week overall. But you can get beat up real hard Week 8 against Seattle, and then a short Thursday night match against Green Bay. Those are probably your 2 toughest games overall. Hopefully that answers your question. I mean, it's a tough schedule. It's not it's not like brutally hard, but it's not easy. And there are a lot of teams that have harder schedules. The Raiders have a super hard schedule this year, but there are some teams that have easy ones. They're right in the middle. So I think Week 8 is probably where I would go. Type 4-9 down below if you guys are ready for the NFL season. Just like simple 4-9 in the comment section if you're ready for the NFL season, which is less than 3 weeks away. And negative COVID tests are happening all the time every day for the 49ers and every other team. I think football is going to happen. I'm pumped for this. Type 4-9 down below in the comment section. Now, leading the charge for San Francisco, of course, is the fearless quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. His jersey is still on sale, which blows my mind because the jerseys never stay on sale for this long. Here we are. An official, this is big, right? Not a foreign knockoff, real deal, Nike Jimmy Garoppolo NFL jersey right now for $63.99. That is 20% off for only $100. Chatsports.com/JimmyG. Place to go ahead and pick that one up. Oh, wait, you already have a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey? Really? Well, why don't you get the George Kittle one? There's a George Kittle one right here. And it's also 20% off. Chatsports.com/Kittle. Wait, you don't want the away one? You want one of the black home ones? Guess what? Boom, there's a black home one here as well. Right there, chatsports.com/Kittle. Pick that one up. There's no excuse, right? If you had the first one, you had the second one, now you get the black George Kittle one as well. The black ones are sweet. Let me tell you, these things look sick. Chatsports.com/Kittle. Go ahead and pick one up right now. Link is down below. Let's see. Omar, no way. No. Do you think we'll sweep our division? No, not a chance. This division is way too good. I said this. Listen, the NFC West is the best division in the entire National Football League. It's not the NFC. Let me say it again. Entire NFL. Now, the NFC South obviously is very, very good. Brady, Breeze, Matt Ryan. It's a very good Carolina. It's not going to be too bad this year. But the NFC West is absolutely brutal. You have a very good Seahawks team that was literally one play away from winning the division. The Rams are extremely underrated this year. They still have Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, and a mastermind head coach in Sean McVay. And the Cardinals are going to be way better than they were last year. The Cardinals can win 8 games. It won't be a sweep. I think 3-3 in the division is very likely. That's why I keep saying it's going to be an 11-win football team for San Francisco. It's not because the schedule is brutally hard like we just talked about. It's because you got to play 6 times divisional opponents that are all really good. Every game is going to be a toss-up. Week 1 against Arizona is going to be a tough game. So, no, they're not going to sweep the division. As much as we would like that to happen, it's just not going to happen. Jay says, will Bosa be ready for Week 1? Yeah, so Bosa has left leg soreness, right leg soreness, whatever leg it is. One of his legs is sore, and that's why he sat out practice today. Not a concern. Do not worry about him at all. He's going to be just fine. He'll be there for Week 1, barring a future injury, which hopefully won't happen, but he's totally fine right now. Precautionary. Got a little off day, little rest day, not a big deal. Let's see. Jace gets 2 for 1. Look at this. Do you think Jimmy G will have more or less than 10 picks? I hope less. but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like right at 10. So he had 13 last year. I would like it to get down to 10 or lower. If he threw 8 or 9 interceptions, he's going to have a Pro Bowl year. Because then you're going to bump the touchdowns up, interceptions down a little bit. That will be a Pro Bowl year. But he has thrown a couple picks in practice. He threw a pick 6 to Richard Sherman yesterday. That's kind of been a problem in the red zone so far for Jimmy Garoppolo. So maybe he's going to throw more. Let me say that again. He has been throwing more picks in the red zone, especially in training camp the past couple of days. And some people are worried about it on Twitter. Are you worried about the practice interceptions that Jimmy G is throwing? No, I'm not. Now, if you are, type Y. If you aren't like me, then type no. It's practice. What did Allen Iverson say about practice? What were we talking about? Practice? Really? He's supposed to be threading the needle and trying to make plays in practice. That's why it's practice. He's not going to throw a ton of interceptions this year. You know what? I'll say lower than 10. How about lower than 10? Is that good? Okay, next question. Carlitos says, what about Brandon Aiyuk's stat line will look like? Oh boy, what did I say? I've been asked this before, and I want to make sure I'm consistent. I think I said like 500, 600 yards, 4 to 5 touchdowns, and 40 to 50 catches. It's not going to be anything spectacular. We're not talking about a 1,000-yard receiver because young receivers don't perform well in the National Football League their rookie year unless your name is like Odell Beckham Jr. Like Cortland Sutton is a great example in Denver out of SMU, a guy that I covered when I was at Baylor. Great player, but just wasn't a big stat guy his rookie year. But now in year, 3, 4, he's going to make a lot of contributions. Aiyuk is going to be the same way just because rookie wide receivers don't make a mega impact early on. Now he's going to be asked to because Deebo's going to be out for a couple weeks, but it's not going to be 1,000-yard receiving a year. I think, 48 catches, 530 yards, 4 touchdowns, something like that is where I would go. But a good question. With that being said, is he the number 1 wide receiver? Like with Deebo being out, and obviously everybody keeps saying he could be ready for week 1. I don't think it's going to happen. He's probably going to be out till at least week 3 or 4. I think week 4 against Philadelphia is when Deebo comes out. Until he comes back, right? Until he's out week 4, until he comes back, who is the number 1 wide receiver in San Francisco? Let me know right now in the comment section. Kind of curious what you guys think. Because right now, is it Kendrick Bourne? Is it Brandon Aiyuk? Although Aiyuk technically is silent with a hamstring injury. But who knows? Because they're just swapping wide receivers out every single day. And don't type Kevin White down below. I know someone's going to do it. Don't be that guy. Kevin White's not the number 1 wide receiver right now. We got to make sure he even makes the football team, right? Come on. Let's see. Justin asked a fascinating question. Does Verrett doing good enough to beat Mosley? Is he doing well enough? Yes, he actually is. And he's been the starter in training camp so far from the very beginning. So, as I always say, when I make a mistake, I confess to it because I'm honest. And I'm not going to come out here and be like, well, I meant this. No, I have said for years, it shows right here, for months, that Emmanuel Mosley would be the starting quarterback number 2. Now, that might still happen. But as of right now, Jason Verrett has played so darn well in training camp, they have left him in as the number 2 cornerback to the point that they've convinced me, and all the writers who are at practice, everyone who live tweets practice has convinced me he's going to be the number 2 corner. So I'm switching. I'm changing up. It's probably going to be Jason Verrett. Most likely going to go ahead and be Jason Verrett. But at the same time, Mosley can still go out and win it. And yeah, I mean, Witherspoon still can. They haven't announced who it will be, but I'm pretty darn sure it will be Jason Verrett. He's been very good so far in training camp. Okay, this question comes to me right now from Spencer saying, is it true that Kyle Juszczyk got injured today? Technically it is, but he's week to week. So it's not a big deal overall in terms of the Kyle Juszczyk injury. Do not be concerned. It's much like the Nick Bosa and probably the Brandon Aiyuk injury as well. It's a hamstring. The hamstrings are kind of tricky because sometimes it's a really bad sprain or strain. Sometimes it's not too bad, but it's a pull. It's a weird muscle overall in terms of football players, but it's supposed to be a week-to-week injury. He's going to be just fine. It's a minor hamstring thing. Do not worry about Juszczyk. Much like people who are worried about Bosa today who missed practice, not a big deal at all. He's going to be absolutely fine. Make sure you guys are subscribed, though, because if there was any updates to the Kyle Juszczyk injury, and I'm telling you, he's going to be just fine. But if there were other injury news or just camp news overall, you want to make sure you guys have the best 49ers coverage on the entire internet. So hit that red subscribe button down below. That way you guys can be notified and, of course, subscribe to what I would say, honestly, a little biased, but probably the best 49er channel on YouTube. Probably the one with the most subscribers, at least close to. We've got a ton of people who follow this channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's see here. Domo says, do you think Pettis is making a comeback? Yes. I talked about this last week. Dante Pettis is making a comeback, and Dante Pettis will make the final 53-man roster for San Francisco, barring an injury or, I guess, Tavon Austin or Kevin White falling out, which is not necessarily guaranteed. Everybody keeps raving about Dante Pettis. He got the seal of approval from Kyle Shanahan the other day. Jimmy Garoppolo talked about how great Pettis looked. And Pettis himself said, listen, I got my own head last year. I'm no longer in my own head. I'm mentally good. I think I'm going to play really well. And he has so far in training camp. Big thumbs up for the resurgence of Dante Pettis. I mean, talk about coming back from the dead, because he was awful last year. He was, terrible last year. Benched in the Super Bowl, and yet he's back. Congratulations, Dante Pettis. Yes, I think he is going to make a comeback. Matthew Navarro says, 49ers opinion on the Craycraft signing. This is one of those depth things. He's not going to make the final 53-man roster at all. There just is not a chance for him to go ahead and break into the 49ers wide receiver depth chart. Even though people like to see these signings, I'm more excited about Kevin White, even though even then I'm like, whoa, hold your horses. No, this is a training camp body. They sign these people all the time who are going to get reps in training camp with the third-teamers and are not going to make the overall 53-man roster. So, no, not a lot of opinions there, because he's not going to be relevant when we get to the start of the NFL season. Jay says, Seahawks got Adams. Oh, no, here we go. Seahawks got Adams. If we sign Earl, would that put us over the top? Like, everyone keeps saying, if we got Adams, we would go over the top. What does that mean? Like, what does over the top mean? Are the 49ers a Super Bowl team right now? Yes or no? Like, answer that. 100% yes. Because they have the exact same roster, if not a little bit better than what it was last year. You know what Earl Thomas would do for San Francisco? Most likely punch probably Jimmy Ward in the mouth, his opposing safety, and get himself kicked off the team as well. Or he'd be late for a meeting because he had to wash his car, just like he was with Baltimore. I need to make a list and plaster it on my wall of disgruntled players the 49ers are never going to sign. I'm going to put it right up here, and I'm going to put Josh Gordon, Earl Thomas, Antonio Brown, and just make this massive list, and you guys will never ask about them again, because they're never going to sign these players because they're toxic.